about this, that this thorn in the flesh would leave me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. For power is made perfect in weakness. So I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may abide in me. Therefore, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities for the sake of Christ. For whenever I am weak, then I'm strong. How do we deal with our weakness? How do we face our moments of weakness? How do we understand them? We definitely, and I'm speaking for you, so I may be wrong, but I don't think anyone in here likes feeling weak. It's scary. At times it's frustrating. At times it's angering. And at times you just don't like how you feel. Not being able to control the circumstances. Not being able to control your family. Not being able to control your body sometimes. It's just sick. It's just in pain. And at times it just does what it wants to do without your permission. And sometimes we're not even able to control our mind. We're depressed, can't shake it. We're anxious, can't shake it. We're worried, can't shake it. Paranoid, can't shake it. You can't seem to control, you're just at its mercy. You're weak. You don't seem to have the power. How do we face it? How do we understand it? No one seems to like it. It's not an enjoyable experience. What Paul says is, I am content with my weaknesses. I'm content with my insults. Oh my, we are dealing with a strange man now. I am content with my hardships. I am content with my persecutions. I am content with my calamities for the sake of Christ. For whenever I am weak, then I am strong. This is different from his time, and it's different from our time. We consider a meaningful life and a successful life to be one where there is no weakness, where you are in control, where you are the master of your fate. That is how this was viewed. If you had a weakness, you were quiet about it. There was a philosophy at the time of Paul that was called Stoicism. Stoicism is a brutal philosophy. I love it. I mean, it's the most... if you ever met someone who believed in Stoic philosophy and wanted to give you counseling in Stoicism, you would think they were mean, because these are the people who tell you just suck it up and shut up, right? They are the ones who you say, I'm not feeling well, and they say, can you control your body? No, I can't. Well, maybe you should concern your mind with what you can control. So therefore, stop bothering me about what you cannot control and leave me alone. They're the type of people that when you go feeling depressed and you say, nobody likes me. They're the type of people to ask you, does your mother like you? Yeah, my mother likes me. Well, somebody likes you, therefore the statement nobody likes you is wrong. So get out my office, huh? The Stoics were hard people, because the idea was everybody suffers, everybody goes through it, everybody can't control what happens to them, so be quiet. Just learn to bear it nobly, quietly. Stoic. Be stoic about it. Therefore, you show yourself as mature by not showing or revealing or admitting that you are weak or in pain. Because everybody's in pain. So therefore, for you to talk about it, weak. It's not viewed as a good thing. It's not viewed as a strong thing. That was at the time of Paul. At the time now, even now, we may be a little more friendly about, weaknesses and whatnot. But even so, we still think that it's wrong to admit when you're weak. It's wrong to admit when you're lost. It's wrong to admit when you're wrong. It's wrong to admit when you're going through it. It's wrong to admit you suffer. It's wrong And it's risky. It's risky. It's risky to say, I feel vulnerable. Just then, as now, being vulnerable is a risky thing to do. Even in church. We have a view of faith that says, if I have faith, I won't be shaken ever by what happens to me. And if I feel shaken by whatever happens to me, bad news of a sickness, no job, family falling apart, stress, if I show that I'm shaken, then I show that my faith isn't strong. And if I show that my faith isn't strong, I don't look like a strong Christian amongst my brothers and my sisters. Therefore, I can't really show that I'm struggling. I can't really show that I have doubts. I can't really show, because then people may say, your faith isn't strong. And I am worried about how I look if people may say my faith isn't strong. This happens in church, where you have to look strong. Paul says, I am content with weaknesses, with insults, hardships. For whenever I am weak, then I am strong. This is not delusion. This is the realization that Paul had. At the moment he sensed his weakness, he knew that the only reason he made it through was because of the grace of God. The moment Paul sensed, I can't bear this on my own, is the moment he knew the strength of God. His weakness allowed him to realize he was living because God lived in him. And the moment it was his weaknesses that revealed to him God's strength. And he was kept from being made conceited. You all know the thorn in the flesh line, right? You've heard it before. Normally when people say, so-and-so's a thorn in my flesh, that means that person is an aggravation, a headache, a pain in the neck, right? And this is the phrase that Paul had for the thorn in the flesh. Before he goes on to this passage, he is struggling, it sounds like. When you read it again. Take your time with this passage. Because this sounds like somebody who is struggling. He's really struggling. And before this chapter, he begins to write to the members of the Corinthian church. And he begins to reveal that they seem to not like his teaching as much as they used to. They prefer what Paul calls the super apostles. So apparently, in the Corinthian church, there were these preachers who would come in, and they would be such amazing, gifted preachers that everybody in the church